welcome to C2K News. This is our new news segment. This is something we have been looking at doing for a while, but just never kind of got around to doing it because we've been working so hard at the C2K Report. But we thought we need to bring you a different perspective of the news because they got all this fake news out there, and then you got these patriots that are teaching things that, you know, either never happen, or they're just all over the place. So we want to bring you kind of a perspective of, like, how do we handle this news and how do we get out of Babylon, and what does it look like when you get out of Babylon? So I want to introduce my news cohort. This is Samantha Hidalgo. She is my daughter, my oldest daughter. Say hi, Samantha.
Hi.
She's 23 years old, so she's going to bring an opinion from a way more important generation than mine, because they're our future. Actually, they're in some ways our present. So I want to, we're going to get her opinion in these news segments. But first, we're going to have a little note from one of our partners, the Epic Times. Are you tired of fake news and cancel culture? Me too. Stay informed and stay free by subscribing to the only paper that I read, the Epic Times. Subscribe today and get the Epic Times for just $1 the first month. Yes, that's right, just $1 the first month. And because you're a listener of the C2K Report, you'll get a discounted monthly subscription of just $77. Not the $99 that everybody else has to pay, but the $77 that you as a C2K listener get to have. So simply use the promo code C2K to enjoy the lowest rate available. Go to C2KReport.com, click on the Epic Times logo on our homepage, and it'll bring you here. Simply enter the promo code C2K to enjoy the lowest savings ever. Thank you, Epic Times, for partnering with the C2K Report. Okay, so Samantha, we brought up a few things that we wanted to talk about today. One of the things that we wanted to talk about is this article in the Epic Times about Christian schools growing in popularity amid the pandemic and in public school controversies. You and I have seen hundreds of videos of these parents going up in front of school boards, basically bashing them, for critical race theory, for all the different things, the vaccines, all the different things that are going on in these schools that are controversial. This article is kind of interesting, though. I wanted to bring it forward because it's talking about these Christian schools and how they're having to expand and grow and build on to their buildings because so many people are leaving the public school system. What did you think about this?
Well, I think it's a much needed change. It's a good first step in the right direction for a lot of young people, and also the sorts of things that they're teaching generations coming people,
Like what kind of things specifically do you think that they're leaving the public schools for?
Critical race theory, mistreatment, probably, and also ridiculous mask mandates and just too much trying to control the everyday freedoms of the people.
Oh, you don't think people like being controlled?
No.
Yeah, I don't like being controlled either. And you being my daughter, I know you don't like being controlled. But another thing that I think people are getting really tired of is every time you turn on a TikTok, or every time you turn on, you go to Facebook, Zuckerberg book, or any other of the social media channels out there, you start getting these crazies wanting to use these really odd pronouns that none of us learned how to use pronouns like that. I mean, you're from that generation. You want to tell me what your thoughts of this pronoun thing is?
It's much baloney. You got he or she. You got what you were born with is what you are. And you can't change that. You can try to lie through it, but you really can't change it genetically, DNA wise. And it's honestly not a good place to go messing around with, It's kind of a minefield if you start messing with that.
Yeah. Look where we are now, right? Yeah, so this whole thing, from a C2K perspective, I just kind of wanted to bring it into the light where it needed to be, because we got all these people that are moving from one system to another, but really they're not taking any compelling interest away from Babylon. When you move to a Christian school, you're still registering them into the school, and that school is still being regulated and managed by Babylon. So is there really any change that happens? I understand you're learning maybe some different things from a different worldview, but we really got to start looking at this from a different angle altogether. What are your thoughts?
I agree. It doesn't change the standing that Babylon has over your family and over what you're being taught, but it is a step in the right direction. Surely.
Step in the right direction. Just got to get people to start understanding that that education has been captured, and that most of us have been captured through the birth organization. And, so it's it's something that we need to really grasp a hold of and start understanding that the real answer is not moving them from one Babylonian extreme to another Babylonian extreme, but to come out of Babylon altogether.
Yep.
Yeah. Woman of very few words. Oh yeah. So that's it is what it is. Encourage you guys to go to the Epic Times, check it out, read the article, leave your comment on the bottom of this video when it comes out. Before we get on to the next subject, I want to have a little word from our partners at QE Strong. Are you in pain? I am. I cut meat for a living, and as a meat man, I have a really sore thumb on my cutting hand. I recently went to a conference where I was introduced to a pain patch that I fell in love with. QE Strong has a line of incredible products that relieve pain. The special patches emanate a frequency that is scientifically proven to bring fast pain relief. I know it works because I use it. To get some of these patches, go to www.c2kreport.com and click on the QE Strong box on the homepage. Click on the QE Strong box on our homepage. Then click the check availability button and order a few boxes of skin patches today. Order some for yourself and order some to give away to your neighbors. Thank you, QE Strong, for partnering with the C2K Report. Okay, so Samantha, another article that we wanted to bring out and look at as far as news-wise today was the Roe v. Wade issue. And this is one that you and I, we here at home, we talk about this issue all the time. But, first, I think what I'd like to do is read a little bit about the actual case, kind of an overview of the actual case. So if you go to Cornell Law School Legal Information Institute, you could pull this up about the 1973 case Roe v. Wade. The case involved a Texas statute that prohibited abortion except when necessary to save the life of a pregnant woman. the Supreme Court, in the decision written by Justice Blackmun, recognized a privacy interest in abortions. That's interesting, privacy issue. In doing so, the court applied the right to privacy established in Griswold versus Connecticut, 1965. So that's the precedent that they used. At stake in this matter was the fundamental right of a woman to decide whether or not to terminate her pregnancy. Okay, I want to read that part again. The fundamental right of a woman to decide whether or not to terminate her pregnancy. I find a few things kind of wrong with that picture, and I'm gonna talk about them in here just a second. But it says the underlying values of this right includes decisional autonomy and physical consequences. So, Samantha, you're a pretty smart girl. I think we raised you with a fair amount of understanding of history, science, and most importantly, the truth. So can you explain as well as you know how exactly how a pregnancy happens?
Well, you make a decision to come together as a man and a woman, and you fertilize an egg, and from there, that fertilized egg grows into a baby. That's how it happens. That's how it's always happened.
Interesting. So let me ask you a question. Does that happen every time that an egg is fertilized, that a child begins to form?
Yes.
Every time?
Yes.
So it really is, you're saying it's up to us as to when a baby comes about? Because scientifically we can create the situation to where an egg is fertilized and then a baby begins to form in the womb?
Yeah.
See, because I was taking a little bit of a different approach. This is the way I was looking at it, right? A lot of people try to have kids and they can't. A lot of people. It's not because they're not fertilizing an egg, or it's not because an egg isn't being fertilized, but it's because there's some underlying reason as to why that action didn't cause fertility, or why that action didn't cause the baby to start growing, in a particular way at a particular time, see, I kind of take this position to where God controls when someone is going to get pregnant and when someone is not going to get pregnant. That you could have an instance of 100 people doing what it takes to get pregnant, and only a percentage of them will actually get pregnant because there's a how do you say this? There's some kind of a manifest destiny involved. There's something more to it than just science.
Yeah. There is more to it than just the science of it. There's a lot of other things involved, but in the process there is a moment of your choice.
Right.
Whether or not to pursue that.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's always been our choice as to whether or not to try to become pregnant, and even in the case of rape and incest, a rape or an occasion of incest does not always lead to pregnancy.
Right.
It's only when it's in the right time. It's only when it's at the right moment for that to happen, and that cannot even be scientifically pinpointed to a particular time frame because God is God and we are not. So this issue takes on a whole different form in my opinion. Because you're right. Scientifically, you know how it happens, and you know that if you do certain things, there's a greater probability that it will happen, because if you practice abstinence, are you going to get pregnant?
No.
No, you're not going to get pregnant if you practice abstinence. So there's that. But then you get these whack jobs who come out of left field.
These comments might be strong, but it's how I genuinely feel. I don't care that you're a Christian. I don't care what the Bible says. Like, I feel like it's a clown show, like sitting here trying to decipher what your little mythical book has to say about these very real political issues, right? I don't care if you're Christian. In fact, I will fight for you to have your religious liberty and practice your Christianity. I believe in that. I don't believe in Christianity, which means that you do not get to dictate the way I live my life based on your religion. I don't care what the Bible says. You have every right in the world. All those women who identify with your religion have every right in the world to not get an abortion, to not take birth control, but they do not have the right to dictate my life and what I decide to do with my body. I don't care about your goddamn religion. I'm so tired of having nonstop conversations about what the Bible says. You live your life in the way that you interpret the Bible. Again, I don't care, but you don't get to take the Bible and tell me, well, the Bible says this in this chapter, in this verse. I don't care. I don't care. I don't believe in it. And I have the right, based on our Constitution, to not believe in it.
So, Samantha, your reaction?
This lady is off on a tangent. What was even her topic?
I believe she was referring to reproductive rights, whatever those are.
I think she's, by saying you have a right to believe what you believe and I'll fight for your religious freedom, but then also with the same breath saying that she doesn't care what the Bible says, she's being a hypocrite.
Yeah, I'm kind of looking at it a little bit that way too. In fact, this is kind of what I'm thinking. We really do have to care what the other side thinks. If we don't care what the other side thinks, how can we have a conversation? Because like the whole starting point would be, hey, you know what? I don't really care what you think, but yeah, let's talk. Like how's that even going to work out?
Yeah, you're not gonna get a result, a resolution from that. You know, it's not gonna lead anywhere.
Yeah, so it seems like a non-starter right from the beginning. You're kind of like, yeah, so here's what I believe. And then the other person's like, yeah, I don't really care what you believe, but let's talk.
Forget you is what they're saying.
Yeah, so we really can't start at that point. What I hear when she talks is I hear a woman who's very confused about what abortion is. She seems to think that it's some kind of health care where if I made a mistake, or maybe it's even worse than that. Maybe I'm thinking, oops, I made a mistake. But maybe she's thinking, hey, I got pregnant. So what? You know, I had fun. You know, I did what I wanted to do, but now I got to go get rid of the consequence. You know, I mean, well, maybe not even the consequence. Maybe she's looking at it like an ulcer. So I drink too many Diet Cokes, so now I have an ulcer. Let me go get rid of the ulcer. You know, that's kind of the way that I'm kind of taking her. So she's kind of like saying, hey, it's in the Constitution. If I drink too many Cokes, it is my right to go get an ulcer taken out. And I think that she kind of misses the basis of the Constitution. The Constitution, you know, that protects life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Like that first one may have a little bit to do with this concept of abortion.
It definitely does. You know, once the egg is fertilized, that moment of conception, that's life. And who are you to impede on yet another American's right to life?
Yeah. And see, I mean, that's a debatable thing too, right? Everybody wants to debate, so when does life start? Does it start at this point or that point, or the first time that you hear a heartbeat, or what? Everybody wants to determine what life is. Well, how about this? What if your act to procreate is the act to create life? I mean, after all, that's what procreation is. Procreation is not recreation. See, those are two different words. Recreation is like, I'm going to go fish. I'm going to go to Silver Springs and look at the bottom of a lake with, in a glass bottom boat, and I'm going to relax and, get a suntan on the beach. I'm going to go play some cricket, or I don't know why I said cricket. I never played cricket in my life, but, croquet, or, some other kind of thing that you really feel like is a relaxing sport or leisure activity. I mean, that's recreation. Procreation is literally the act of creating life. And that's what it is. It is the act of creating life. So if you're using procreation for some other reason other than creating life, you're doing this thing that in the world of sane people is called sin. Thoughts?
That's a sound bit of logic right there. I agree. It's not to consistently go out and seek the act of procreation and not the result of procreation is consistently following a pattern that is not sustainable or even natural.
Yeah, kind of crazy, right? It's like somebody saying, you know what? I play the lottery, but I don't play it to win it. I just go out and I just play the lottery because, it's fun. It's fun to play the lottery. And then when they win,
money.
And then
money.
Yeah, and when they win the lottery, they're like, whoa, hey, I got to go get a lottery abortion. By the way, Babylon's real good at that anyway. They take like 60-70% of it. So, all right. So with that, tell you what, we're going to move on to our third and final sponsor. We have another sponsor. Did you know that? The C2K Report, the C2K News has 3 partners. Here's our third partner, the Zelenko Protocol, Z-Stack. We are living in times of Babylonian desperation, and no one knows what pestilence will be released next. But it's not a time to fear. God's healers are stepping up to the plate all over the earth. There is no better example than Dr. Zelenko's protocol. Dr. Zelenko's Z-Stack is proven to maintain your immune system and keep it resilient and resistant. Go to C2KReport.com and click the Z-Stack logo to join the thousands of people building a resilient and resistant immune system. Save 5% by entering coupon code C2K at checkout. Thank you, Dr. Zelenko, for partnering with C2K. Okay, so Samantha, the last thing we wanted to talk about was we wanted to have kind of a little bit of a fun conversation here. We want to talk about this really crazy dude again from the Epic Times. So I'm going to pull it up on the screen so people can see what I'm talking about. This is called "Unshackled by Fear." Slackliner snaps unimaginable selfies, videos while walking wires between peaks. Look, I've done a fair amount of exploration on YouTube, and I've watched these guys like climb tall buildings in cities, and there's even one video of a guy who like thought he'd be really slick and hang off of a building, and he kind of lost grip and went down like thousands of stories to his death. And people are like, oh, they like these kind of stories for some reason. I'm mortified. I'm looking at this picture and I'm going, what in the world is this guy even thinking? And he's taking a selfie up there. Look, I've been up in tall places, and I have a hard time looking down. Looking up is even worse, because it's like you're looking down, and you feel like you're kind of okay. I'm trying to stay on this line, but the moment you look up, you're like, okay, now I can't even see where I'm standing, and I'm taking a selfie. Nah, I don't think so. Your opinion?
I mean, this is a crazy thing to be doing. I personally would never get on a high line like that, and especially with a selfie stick in my arm.
Yeah, right?
It's impressive, but at the same time, very dangerous.
Dangerous.
Reckless.
I got another word for that. Stupid. I mean, really. I mean, this guy, like, how many, like, does it take, do you have to go to college for this, by the way? Is this like one of those things you go to college for to learn how to?
Clown college?
Oh, that's a good one.
Where else do you go?
That's a good one. Samantha's first joke of the C2K News.
I don't know. I feel like you wouldn't go to a regular place. You wouldn't go to, like, I don't know, Texas Tech for this. I
mean, really, do you need some? I just don't understand what prompts you to do such a thing. Me personally, like, standing on a stool is mortifying.
Maybe he's a thrill seeker. I don't know.
Thrill seeker. Yeah. So Samantha, you're familiar with other thrill seekers, and you've seen other videos and stuff on YouTube like this?
I've seen people parkour on buildings, and roller coaster enthusiasts and things like that. They're neat videos, but they're also a little stomach churning too.
Stomach churning? Yeah, when I look at this guy from the angle that he's at, like, literally, going across the peak of two, they don't even look like mountains. They look like somebody's literally stacked rocks on top of each other. And it's like at any moment that top rock could fall, and then what you're anchored to is going to plummet thousands of feet down to earth. I'm sorry. Yeah, not going to happen. Not this guy.
No, I wouldn't either. That would take an insane amount of courage, and I don't have that kind of courage.
So let me ask you this question. How much money would someone have to offer you to do that? Could you be bought to do that? I mean,
12 billion.
12 billion. So literally 3 times what it costs to buy Twitter. It would take that much in order for you to go up there and attempt that.
Yes.
Very nice. Very nice. Because you are a brave woman, Samantha, because I'm going to tell you, honestly, yeah, 12 billion still cheap. It's still cheap for me. You're going to have to, like, come up with Rothschild kind of money. Yeah, for me, it's going to be Rothschild money. Well, that's all the time that we have today, Samantha. Thank you for coming on to the C2K News. I appreciate you coming on, and I promise that we'll get more cohesive. We'll get this thing down a little bit better. But thank you for coming, Samantha. Thank you for being a part of this first ever historical C2K News. And I hope that you have a great rest of your day.
Yeah, you too.
All right.
Thanks for letting me on.
Yep. See you in a few seconds.
Everybody